What's going on, guys? Matthew Wells here. I've got some pretty big news in the world of MMA today. You may or may not have heard by now, but TJ Dillashaw has relinquished his UFC bantamweight title. This, of course, being due to an adverse finding in a USADA test from his most recent fight against one Henry Cejudo just a day over 2 months ago on the very first ESPN show, ESPN Plus show, where TJ attempted to become a two-weight world champion by moving down to the flyweight division to challenge Henry Cejudo for his title. Ultimately, he would lose that fight and walk away still the 135-pound champion, and now we have this adverse finding in this USADA test, and he has decided to relinquish his title. As you can see here on the screen, we have his post that he released on Instagram earlier today, and it reads, "To all my fans, I want to be the first one to let you know that USADA and the New York State Athletic Commission have informed me of an adverse finding in a test taken for my last fight. While words can't even begin to express how disappointed I am at this time, please know that I am working with my team to understand what has occurred and how to resolve this situation as quickly as possible. Out of fairness and respect to the rest of my division, I've informed the UFC that I will be voluntarily relinquishing my title while I deal with this matter. I want to thank all of you in advance for the support." That is from one TJ Dillashaw just about 4 hours ago via Instagram as of time of this recording. Now, why would TJ Dillashaw release this statement? Well, you got to think back. USADA used to be the ones that would let everyone know of these things. They would release statements saying fighter X has been flagged for a potential anti-doping violation stemming from a test on such and such date. The problem with doing that was that in the court of public opinion, these guys would be deemed guilty. They'd be called cheaters before they had an opportunity to defend themselves, before they had an opportunity to get B samples of supplements tested to determine whether or not that supplement that they got flagged for was, a tainted supplement or whatever have you. So they went away from doing that, which kind of raised questions about transparency and that whole deal, and all that is valid as well. Do you want transparency, or do you want guys to be deemed guilty in the court of public opinion first without having a chance to defend themselves? Which, it's kind of a catch-22 in some ways, but both sides are valid on that. But regardless, TJ Dillashaw got out ahead of this thing and decided to release this message via Instagram today. He did not say whether or not if it was from USADA or the New York State Athletic Commission test. We don't know yet. We don't even know the supplement just yet, or what the substance is, rather, that he has been flagged for. Hopefully we get that information very soon. Please stay tuned to either here on the Slip and Dip channel, or of course your favorite news site out there for MMA as well. And of course, towards the end of the statement, he informs us that he will be relinquishing his title, leaving a vacancy at the bantamweight division. Now let's go into some fighter reaction via social media. One, Ariel Helwani spoke to the flyweight champion, the man most closely linked to TJ right now, Henry Cejudo, and here's what he had to say. "I feel bad for him. Obviously, you have your exceptions out there. Some people have been wrongly accused in the past, but people like Lance Armstrong or Marion Jones, and I've looked up to her in the past, they have to live with the regret and the dishonesty for the rest of their lives. I honestly feel bad for them. I want to reserve judgment, but I also want to say I never wish to anyone who uses PEDs again. There's no place for that in MMA. This isn't baseball or basketball. This is another human being with 4-ounce gloves hitting another human being. Prayers to him and his family." We move on to Cody Garbrandt, who simply hits us with the two emojis, the tea and the frog, Kermit sipping the tea. You guys already know that meme. Basically, nothing more needs to be said. Well, let's go back to something more that Cody Garbrandt said. If you go back to this press conference at MSG, my man Jim Edwards poses a question, and here's what happens.
At TJ was the fact that he'd taken some special supplements.
Oh yeah, the guy's on everything.
Yeah.
He's on everything.
TJ?
Yeah, I'm on everything. They test me every day, so I'm on everything.
Funny, you're the one that showed everyone how to do it on Team Alpha Male.
So yeah, I'm the one that's now bringing it in. Yeah.
Look at him. He has nothing to say.
Rose.
Yeah, very, very, very strong accusations right there from one Cody Garbrandt, accusing TJ Dillashaw of being the guy showing the entire gym of Team Alpha Male how to get around these tests and bringing supplements into the gym, tainted supplements into the gym. You know the accusation. You heard it right there from the man himself. We'll get back to that in just a second. Aljamain Sterling. I don't know what to say about TJ, but I'm ready to fight for a world effing title, baby. I'm tired of being nice. Tell Mr. Egghead I'll see his ass in June or July. Lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. Get your book bags ready. Backpack, backpack, backpack emoji. Hashtag strap season with the GIF below. And of course, he's referring to one Marlon Moraes, who is the current #1 contender at 135 pounds. Let's move on to Rafael Assunção. Mr. Faber himself told me in person once that his former teammate abuses from substances and, of course, other members that we know as well. A rising star in the 135-pound division, Petr Yan. If the UFC will ask me to fight for the vacated title tomorrow, I will agree without a doubt in my mind, and I don't care who will be my opponent. I want that belt. Then we go on to one Bilal Muhammad. I bet it was something he took for the 125-pound cut. And you look at all these bottles below, all these bottles that were on TJ Dillashaw, little screenshot there from, I forget which video this was. But there were a ton of bottles. I'm not sure if this was from Embedded or wherever have you, but a lot of, you can see that on that Embedded for that fight. A lot of bottles on the counter. It raises the question, was it a tainted supplement? Whatever, we don't know just yet, but Bilal could be onto something here. If you look at TJ Dillashaw, he's incredibly ripped at 135. So you had to ask the question, how is he going to cut another 10 pounds off of that frame? So was it something like a diuretic to help him make that weight? Possible. That's speculation. We don't know just yet. Remains to be seen. But that's something to kind of think about there. Now, ultimately, what we're left with right now is a vacancy at bantamweight. No champion. You have a #1 contender in Marlon Moraes, who was obviously already in line for that title shot had the UFC not gone with Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw at 135 in that rematch at the higher weight class, which not a lot of people wanted to see anyways. So Marlon Moraes, if they do end up doing a vacant title fight, you would think Marlon Moraes is for sure one half of that fight. Who is he going to be fighting against is the next question. Well, you look at #2, you have Rafael Assunção, who just lost to Marlon Moraes, so that's most likely not going to happen. It would take something miraculous for that to happen. #3, you have Aljamain Sterling, who's been on a tear, 3-fight win streak. However, he did lose to Marlon Moraes in a pretty epic knockout. As you see by his statement before, lightning doesn't strike twice. So Aljo's looking to get one back. The UFC could be on board with running that back. Who knows? We'll see. Right behind Aljo is Pedro Munoz, who just came off of that epic one-round battle with Cody Garbrandt, knocking him out in the very first round of their fight. Pedro Munoz is also on a 3-fight win streak. That could be another good option. If you go further down the list until you get to Petr Yan, everybody else is injured or coming off of losses. So I would think it's either going to be Sterling or Munoz. If they decide to keep everything at 135 pounds, another wild card would be, I guess, Henry Cejudo moving up and fighting maybe a Marlon Moraes for a 135-pound title for Henry to attempt to become a 2-weight world champion that way. That's something else to consider. I think that's more on the long shot side of things, but who knows? We see crazy things all the time in this sport. So quite a few options they can go with there to create a new champion at 135. But let's go back to this statement right now that Cody made at this press conference. He accused TJ of cheating, obviously, and being the guy that showed everybody at Team Alpha Male, you know, how to get around drug testing, essentially, is what he's saying here. Now, that kind of raises the question, was that like an underlying reason why TJ Dillashaw left Team Alpha Male? You know, obviously the big reason was that he got the endorsement deal with Muscle Farm to move out to Colorado. They paid him a lot of money. I don't have the figures up right now. I forget the exact figures, but it was a lot of money for an endorsement deal for an MMA fighter to move and change gyms. And he did that, but could that have been an underlying reason, though, that maybe they were trying to force him out anyways, if he was trying to come into the gym and show all these guys how to use all of these things and get around the drug testing? Something to think about, speculation, but if everything that Cody No Love was saying right there, that could hold some weight. You know, it's just something to think about, not making any accusations there, but it's just something to think about. It could be a possibility that, you know, that's something that flew under the radar all this time. So that remains to be seen. But for the time being, we don't know what exactly TJ Dillashaw has been flagged for. We don't know what that adverse finding was on the drug test just yet. We don't know what it means in terms of suspensions or anything like that. But you got to think TJ Dillashaw hasn't defended at 135 pounds since August of 2018. So if he was looking at a suspension, you got to be thinking on the short end, the very short end, 6 months, which would put you at, again, later fourth quarter of 2019 before you're looking at him coming back to defend that title. So it was either going to be stripped or we'd have to relinquish it. So, it's an unfortunate situation that we're dealing with here, but I guess good on him for relinquishing and letting the division move on before all of that stuff had to play out. So we'll see. There's a lot more to unfold in this situation. Obviously, the biggest question now is what was the supplement? What's going to be the end result? How long of a suspension are we looking at for TJ Dillashaw? And lastly, what are they going to do for that vacant title? Leave your comments below. I want to know what you guys want to see for that vacant title. Do you want to see Moraes versus Sterling, Moraes versus Munoz, Moraes versus a Henry Cejudo coming up? Who knows? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know what you think about all this news and what should happen. And please hit that subscribe button as well. Smash that like button. Share it around with your friends. We're going to start doing more little breaking news videos like this when we can, whether it be from myself or my man Kendrick Johnson, the co-host on the Slip and Dip podcast, which you can find right here on the Slip and Dip channel. Every week, we bring 2 to 4 guests from the world of MMA, boxing, trainers, fighters, fellow journalists, whatever have you. We get on, we talk about the sport, try to have fun with it. So please check that out as well. And stay tuned for more news from us, guys.